The Kestrel Loop, a Bermuda Triangle mystery. I don't expect the dead to leave voicemails. It came in on a Tuesday at 5:14 a.m., while I was pretending to drink yesterday's coffee and pretending even harder to answer a pitch email. The subject line was vague: audio anomaly, possible personal relevance. The sender was from an oceanographic institute in Miami that I'd written about years ago, back when I still pretended maritime journalism wasn't just true crime with salt. Now I am a freelance investigator. There was an attached audio file. 9 seconds. I hit play. Static first, wet, rolling, like wind through rigging. Then a woman's voice, thin and stretched, as if the ocean itself was trying to say her name. Nora? Nora, if you can. I heard a crack like pressure popping, then silence. I played it again. And again. 10 years is long enough to forget the exact pitch of a voice. Long enough to lose the vowels but keep the laugh, not long enough to forget your younger sister. Ava Hale had vanished with the research vessel Marina Star in the Bermuda Triangle. The official word was lost at sea, but now, signals suggest otherwise. I whispered to the empty apartment, Ava? The email had a phone number. I called. A man picked up on the second ring, too fast for office hours. Ward, speaking. This is Nora Hale. You sent me an audio clip. There was a pause, keyboard tapping, the subtle shift of someone confirming who you are on another screen. Ms. Hale, thanks for calling back. Where did you get it? An automated recorder on a buoy. 2 days ago, north of Puerto Rico. His voice was low, tired, absolutely sure of itself. Your sister's ship disappeared in that sector, didn't it? Disappeared is polite, I said. Her vessel dropped off the grid and nobody looked long enough. We looked, he said. Some of us never stopped. I let that hang there. What do you want from me? We're making another pass through the sector, he said. Research vessel Kestrel. We were going to run mostly automated, but I thought you might want to be on board. I stared at the rain streaking my Chicago window. Cold, heavy, definitely not ocean rain. I'd moved inland to get away from water. That was the funny part. I stopped being a maritime journalist and became a freelance investigator. You think she's alive? I asked. I think, Captain Elias Ward said, something out there is repeating. And your sister's voice just repeated. When do you leave? Tomorrow night. So that was that. The dead don't call. But echoes do. And I've never been good at ignoring echoes. The Kestrel was older than she looked at the Miami dock, 48 meters, research fitted, hull scarred from a life of actual work. Not a pretty boat, a real one. Ward matched her. Calloused handshake, gray at the temples, skin baked the kind of brown you only earn on open decks. Glad you made it, he said. You sent me my sister's voice, I said. You knew I'd come. He gave a half smile. Journalists are predictable, grieving ones more so. A woman came down the gangway with 2 hard cases and a visible dislike for extra people. You're the tag-along? She asked. Nora, I said. Not a tag-along. Dr. Lena Park, she said. Oceanographic analysis. I'm here to prove the triangle is magnetics and bad math. Hope you're right. She snorted. I'm usually not. We cast off at dusk. Miami smeared into gold and red behind us. Ahead, nothing but black water and blacker sky. Wind from the southeast, warm, smelling of rain the forecast hadn't mentioned. On the bridge, Ward joined me with his hands in his pockets. He flicked the overheads to red. Why the mood lighting? I asked. Out there, things flash, he said. Red doesn't blind you if the power stutters. In there, does it stutter often? In there, he said, watching the horizon. It does whatever it wants. I laughed like it was a joke. He didn't. That was when I felt the first prickle of wrong, not fear, just the awareness of being looked at. Not by the crew, by the water. You know the stories, he said? Of the triangle? Vanishing ships, Compasses spinning, time slips? I shrugged. I also know half the disappearances were never logged right. Half, he agreed, but not all. You believe it? He watched the horizon. I believe enough to be polite. To what? To whatever's out there. He went back to the bridge. I stayed a moment longer. Sometimes suspense doesn't come from what you see. It comes from the grown man who's seen storms, pirates, and Coast Guard bureaucracy and still says he's being polite to the ocean. That first night, in my cabin, I played the voicemail again. Nora? Nora, if you can. Under the crackle, under her voice, there was something else. A low, repeating pulse. Not random, patterned, like a heartbeat through metal. I clipped that part and saved it as Ava Pulse 1. I didn't know then I'd end up with a whole folder of those files. I just knew I wasn't going to sleep. Outside, rain hit the deck in a hard, sudden sheet, and stopped. No tapering, no runoff. On, off, like someone flipping a switch. I wrote that down too. When you're scared, documenting feels like control. By the second day, the ocean changed. Not the color, the texture, the way the swells rolled, the way the air tasted. On the bridge, Ward was watching the numbers instead of the sea. GPS is drifting, he said before I asked. Half a mile off course. We never turned. Lena's laptop chimed, magnetometers spiking, periodic pulses. She tossed me a grim look. That's new. It got newer, at 14:07, Ward said, grid line. Unofficial border. Nothing outside looked different, but he flipped the lights back to red. The glass turned black. Everyone's faces went blood-colored. At 14:12, the feed from control lagged. We watched Dr. Harrow's mouth move on screen. We heard him 3 seconds later. Time smear, Lena muttered. Storms to your north, Dr. Harrow, the onshore mission sponsor, said. You should be fine. I looked at the sky, already dimming, not with clouds, but like someone had laid gauze over the sun. Do you see, fine? I asked the screen. Excuse me? Dr. Harrow said, half a second out of sync. Nothing, I said. We'll keep you posted. The connection icon flickered red in the corner. Always red. At 15:03, the hull began to hum. At first it felt like a distant propeller. But propellers are regular. This was not. From. I recorded it. Then I overlaid it on Ava Pulse 1. The waveforms matched. It's the same frequency, I said. Lena's mouth flattened. It can't be the same signal 10 years later. Maybe it's not the ocean, I said. She didn't like that. Rain hit hard, then stopped. The deck was dry. The compass, both digital and brass, started to wander, as if North had gotten bored. And then a woman's voice broke over the radio, not our channel, not our call sign. Thin, distant, swallowed by static. Kestrel, do not follow. The Kestrel. I whispered. Did she say? Ward was already on the mic. Say again, vessel. Identify. Nothing. The red light blinked at us. How many Kestrels out here, Captain? Lena asked. Just the one, he said. None of us believed it. On day 3, the ocean started answering back. Not with words, with us. Marco and I were on deck, logging anomalies, the popcorn rain, the compass sulk, the time lag. The air felt wrong, warm without humidity, bright without sun. Somewhere between day and stage set. Over the PA, Ward's voice said, clear as if he'd just spoken, we stay on heading. We log everything. We do not panic. Marco grinned. Nice pep talk. I didn't say that, I said. His grin died. You sure? That was yesterday? On the bridge. The glass around us reflected red and sky, and our small, worried shapes. Inside, the bridge was empty. The PA clicked off. Then repeated the exact same line, intonation, exhale, room creak and all. Ward tested it. Test message alpha, he said into an internal mic. 7 seconds later, the ship said, test message alpha. 5 seconds later, test message bravo. Latency dropping. The sounds bouncing, Lena said slowly, off something close. Something that doesn't show on sonar. Like what? Marco asked. Nothing, she said. That's the problem. By noon, even our clocks were arguing. The ship's clock said 12:06. Lena's laptop said 12:04. The external GPS clock she'd brought because she doesn't trust factory settings said 12:05. And at 13:22, I saw our wake without us. A faint shape, a ghost ship outline in the water a quarter-mile off our starboard. No hull, just the way the surface parted as if a hull were there, tracking our speed, our heading. Afterimage, I said, or preview, Lena muttered. No automatic identification system, no radar return. Just the shape of us, slightly to the right, slightly behind. It faded after 10 minutes. The sea smoothed like nothing had happened. By then, we'd normalized the weirdness. The delayed announcements. The arguments between clocks. Humans adjust fast. We stopped adjusting when a new voice came over the PA at 1943. If you can hear this, we're still... My heart didn't just skip, it dropped. Ava? I whispered. We ran to the comm room. Lena pulled the buffered audio, cleaned it, slowed it. If you can hear this, we're still... It was cut off by static. We boosted the background. The noise behind her voice was the same as ours, our engine hum, our deck creaks, even a faint drip from the galley faucet. She was speaking from this ship. The file metadata said the audio would be recorded 10 minutes in the future. Tell me that's a glitch, I said. I can tell you it's a glitch, Lena said. I can't tell you it's wrong. Later that night, alone in my bunk, I heard her again. Nora, don't, that was it. 2 words, cut off by a heavy splash against metal. I sprinted barefoot to the comm room. Lena was already there, she'd heard it too. That one didn't come from our buffer, she said. It came from below. Below deck? She looked at the floor. Below us. Outside, rain started up again. Gentle, steady, patient, like fingers. By morning, nobody was pretending this was interference. Ward kept the red lights on. He wore a life vest on the bridge. Captains don't say, haunted, they just tighten procedures. At 7:32 we saw the Marina Star. It didn't rise over the horizon like a normal ship. One moment there was blank sea. The next, a vessel sat half a mile off our starboard, matching speed. No automatic identification system, no radar echo, no flag. But I knew her lines. I'd stared at enough grainy photos over the last decade. That's her, I said. My voice sounded distant. That's the Marina Star. Ward raised binoculars. Impossible, he said. Nobody believed him. Rain slammed down, then cut off like always. Between pulses, visibility snapped to perfect clarity. The water under the Marina Star wasn't blue. It was stained, a diffuse, rusty red spreading like ink beneath her hull, darkening toward black. The edges steamed. Lena whispered, that's heat. In a patch smaller than a tennis court. That's not weather. A low, twisting motion churned between our ships. Not a whirlpool, too controlled. A slow spiral, as if someone were drawing a drain in the ocean with a fingertip. Ava Pulse 1 thrummed through the hull. Nora, if you can... The voice came from the water now. Not the speakers, the sea. I grabbed the radio. Ava, I hear. Ward snatched my wrist. We don't broadcast. We don't invite it. It already knows where we are. We don't tell it who we are, he said, eyes hard. Whatever took your sister wants another name. The pull hit at 7:40. The Kestrel leaned 2 degrees toward the Marina Star. Stabilizers whined. Hull strain, Lena said. Full power ahead, Ward ordered. Rudder starboard. We slide out of the spiral. The engines roared. For a moment, we gained. The red whirl slipped toward our aft quarter. Then the pull strengthened. The hull groaned. The warning light stayed solid red. On the Marina Star's deck, a doorway. A shadow. For half a second, a female figure stood there. Thin. Still. My chest cracked open. Ava. Rain crashed down again, hiding everything. Over the storm, her voice came clear, as if she stood behind me. Nora, don't follow the same cut-off, same impact sound. Same 9 seconds. Only this time, it wasn't a recording. Ward did something then I'd only read about in case studies. Cut power, he yelled. Marco swore, but he did it. Engines down. We stopped fighting. The spiral yanked us sideways, harder now that we were limp. Ward twisted the manual thrusters, spinning us across the current like a skater cutting out of a fall. The red whirl missed our hull by meters. The temperature graph on Lena's screen dropped. The light on the hull panel went dark. We slid clear. When the rain shut off, the Marina Star was gone. No red water, no steam, no boat, just the Atlantic, blank and innocent. We almost got dragged by a ghost ship, Marco said weakly. Don't call it that, I said. What do you want me to call it? I watched the empty patch of water where my sister's boat had been. An invitation, I said. We just turned it down. After that, the Kestrel stopped pretending to be a normal vessel. We lost position. One moment we were where we should be on the chart, the next our GPS said we'd jumped 40 miles east with no trail. The engines sometimes ran cold, spinning without fuel burn. The air thinned until the sky looked washed out, as if we were seeing it through frosted glass. On the bridge screens, folders began to appear on their own. SYS, playback _001. SYS, playback _002. They were video logs that technically hadn't happened yet. One showed the deck drenched in a red glow, the Kestrel's hull illuminated from below by the metallic ribs of some huge submerged structure. The timestamp was an hour in the future. In the corner of the frame, I stood at the rail, shouting something I couldn't hear. When Lena scrubbed the timeline, a line of text flashed over the image. Don't follow the red. Another clip showed the engine room vibrating too hard, gauges twitching. A shadow crossed the frame. Then my sister's voice said, "You shouldn't have come back. Nora, you need to leave before it chooses." No external transmission. Her words were embedded in our own system logs. If this place can record audio, Lena said tightly, why not everything? Ships, crews, time, I said. It keeps them like files. Looped waveforms, she murmured. We're sailing inside a recording. At the same time, the outside world started copying us. A second Kestrel appeared on radar, same ID, same speed, ahead of us. We spotted her at dawn, our twin, running dark, 300 meters off the bow. On her bridge, in the faint reflection of glass, I saw 4 silhouettes. Ourselves, I said. We tried to hail her. The reply came in my own voice, calm, bored, utterly not mine. This is Kestrel. Nora Hale reporting. You're off course. Return to origin. Who are you? Ward demanded. Someone about to repeat you, the other me said. The duplicate pivoted broadside and began to fade, like a ship sailing out of an old videotape. Before it vanished completely, I saw myself on its bridge. She raised a hand in warning. Then she was gone. At some point, our reflections stopped being ours. On the bridge, in the dark glass, our mirror selves moved just out of sync. A fraction late at first. Then early. Sometimes reflection Ward scratched his beard when the real Ward didn't. Reflection Lena pushed hair from her face while the real one sat frozen. I turned my head. The woman in the window didn't. She stared past me, toward the door. That was when the knocking started. 3 slow knocks on metal. Pause. 3 more. They came from below, then from the hull itself, then, from the sound of it, from inside the walls. The PA clicked on by itself. Bridge. Engine bay. Report, Ward's voice said. He hadn't spoken. We cut power to comms. The voice kept going, muffled through the hull. Our own words, stripped of context, looping. Bridge. Engine bay. Report. The ship is talking to itself, Lena said. No, I said. It's practicing us. The Kestrel wasn't creaking anymore. It was listening, matching, adjusting, synchronizing. Eventually, the sea turned into a mirror. The surface ahead thickened into a silver plane, too smooth to be water. It rose just above the waves, exactly the shape and size of our hull. In it, I saw the Kestrel reflected perfectly, down to a flake of rust next to the bowline. And us, on the bridge. 4 small, red-lit figures at the window. My reflection raised her hand before I did. Lena's monitors filled with text. Run, SYS, playback loop. Turn around. Ward tried. Throttles forward, throttles back, rudder hard over. Nothing responded. The engines were running, the ship simply wasn't obeying us anymore. The silver surface glowed faint red from below. The same heartbeat pulse we'd heard in the hull. This is the field, Lena said. The recording layer. Every ship, every crew that enters gets copied here. That's why they vanish. They don't sink, they're remembered. And us? I asked. We're mid-copy. The mirror crept closer on water that wasn't moving. Or maybe we were sliding into it. Hard to tell. In the reflection, my other self stepped closer to the glass. I watched my own lips move. Don't stop me this time. Her voice slid into the bridge from nowhere, layered over the hum. If we don't finish the loop, she said, it starts again. The air in front of me went cold. My skin prickled like static. Please, she whispered, let us end. Her hand met mine on the glass. For a second, the surface dissolved. I felt pressure, water, heat, and a heartbeat that was not just mine. Then everything went red. When the color drained, the bridge was empty. No Ward, no Lena, no Marco, just me, the consoles, and a sea so flat it could have been painted on. Lena's tablet blinked 4 words, recording complete. Begin playback. The hum beneath the deck was different now. Not mechanical, rhythmic, slow, familiar. Outside, beneath the waterline, a faint red ring pulsed. The triangle's heartbeat. I walked the ship alone, calling names. Cabins, galley, engine room, storage hold. Nothing but my own footsteps coming back a beat late. Ward's logbook lay open on the bridge. On the latest page, in his scrambling block letters, he'd written, crew dissolved into reflection field. Only Hale remains unaligned. Unaligned, not yet copied, not fully. I picked up the pen. For a while, I did what anchors do. I logged. I observed. I kept the loop stable without thinking about what that meant. The ship steered itself. Engines cycling in patterns I didn't set, turning to headings I didn't choose. Weather didn't touch us. We slid through a bland, gray nothing that called itself the Atlantic. Every so often, another Kestrel drifted across the horizon. Sometimes it was empty. Sometimes I saw people on its deck, moving in strange half-speed. Once, I saw myself, reflected in another bridge window, watching me back. Lena's files kept breeding. More, SYS, PLAYBACK clips. Some were things I remembered. Some hadn't happened, yet. I watched one of them show me standing at this console, tearing out this page, refusing to write another line. The timestamp was an hour from now. I closed the player. If I wrote it down, it would be true. That was when the monitor in the storage bay lit on its own. This time, the feed was water. A woman floated in its blackness, arms spread, hair floating like dark seaweed. Ava. Her eyes opened slowly. She looked straight at me. You're close, she said. Close to what? To the end. Or the start. It's the same thing here. The triangle needs an anchor, it does, she said, and you've been a good one. Maybe better than me. I'm keeping it stable, I said. Keeping it from eating more ships. You're feeding it, she corrected. Every log, every thought, every time you press play. You're helping it remember itself. I swallowed. If I stop? She smiled, sad and proud at the same time. If you stop, it forgets. And you? Her gaze flicked upward, toward a light I couldn't see. I'm already remembered. The monitor flickered. Her face smeared into static. If you erase the anchor, she said, voice shredding, the loop collapses. It might not kill it, but it will let it drift. Is that better? It's not safer, she said. Just freer. The last thing I heard was her laugh, short and broken. You always hated endings. Time to pick one. The screen went black. Back on the bridge, new text crawled across the console. To end recording, erase anchor. Confirm, Y-N. The red glow outside was rising again. The humming was faster. I thought of the Marina star, of Ward and his stubborn politeness to the ocean. Of Lena, doing math to ward off fear. Of Marco, making jokes at the end of the world. I thought of all the names carved into Coast Guard reports as lost at sea. What if they were all still here because no one ever stopped taking notes? Lena's voice brushed against my ear, soft as static. If you erase yourself, she said, we drift forever. I thought that's what you wanted. Not drift, she said. Choice. The hum climbed. The glass trembled. I picked up Ward's logbook. On the last line, only Hale remains unaligned. I pressed the pen down and crossed it out until the paper tore. Then I tore out the whole page. Then the one before it. And the one before that. I fed them into the small metal chute where we'd been dumping shredded printouts and coffee grounds, and listened to them burn. No more logs. No more anchor. The ship shuddered. The red glow outside flickered, weaker. The consoles snapped dark, one by one. The PA gave a single, confused crackle and died. The only sound left was the actual ocean. Waves. Wind. A gull somewhere. I'd forgotten real noise had texture. I don't remember blacking out. I remember light. When I opened my eyes, the sky was brutally blue. The water was properly choppy. The hull groaned in honest, physical ways. The Kestrel lay still on an ordinary swell. The instruments were dead, every screen blank. Ward's logbook was closed, salt warped, empty. I made my way to the deck. No red, no silver, no shadow ships, just sunlight on water. The radio fizzed behind me. Day log received. Coordinates locked. Vessel Kestrel located adrift, crew missing. One life sign detected. Name. Hale, Nora. For a long time, I didn't answer. Then I picked up the mic. This is Nora Hale, I said. My voice shook. I'm here, static whispered back. Then a new voice broke through, cheerful, professional, aggressively normal. Copy, Nora. This is Coast Guard Cutter Tanager. Sit tight. We're on our way. I laughed. I couldn't help it. It came out too loud, too thin. They told me later it took them 3 hours to reach me. To me it felt like minutes. Or days. Time does not feel like a thing I can trust anymore. 2 divers in bright suits hauled themselves over the rail. One asked me basic questions. Name, date, what ship I was on, did I know what had happened to my crew. I answered what I could. One of them said, don't look down. So of course I did. The water under the Kestrel was ordinary Atlantic blue. For a moment. Then, just at the edge of my vision, a ring of darker color pulsed once, twice, 3 times. Then it was gone. They strapped me into a harness. As they hoisted me off the deck, the radio crackled again. This is Kestrel. Nora Hale reporting. Visibility clear. Sea calm. Continuing north. My own voice. Clean, unbroken, on a smooth loop. The divers didn't seem to hear it. Probably just interference, one said. Sure. I'm writing this on paper they gave me in a white room that smells like antiseptic instead of salt. Doctors keep asking me about trauma processing and hallucination frameworks. The official report, they say, will say something like cause of Kestrel disappearance, unknown. Single survivor presenting with disorientation and narrative fixation. No paranormal evidence observed. Of course, I know what I saw. I know what I heard. I also know the triangle is not a storm or a monster. It's a kind of machine. A field. A place where time prefers to remember itself instead of passing. It likes patterns. It likes loops. It likes voices. It needed an anchor. For a while, that was me. I think I broke that connection. But sometimes, when the air conditioner hums just right, I hear it under everything else. 3 beats. Pause. 3 beats again. And in the back of my mind, a calm, practiced voice, mine, not mine, says. This is Kestrel. Nora Hale reporting. Visibility clear. Sea calm. Continuing north. If someone out there ever hears that, do me a favor. Don't follow the red. The Bermuda Triangle in the Kestrel Loop is not a supernatural void but a living algorithm, a sentient field that keeps reality stable by copying, replaying, and editing human perception. Every ship that vanishes isn't lost. It's archived.